What if aging wasn't just inevitable decline, but something we could actually control at a cellular level? The science behind anti-aging has exploded recently, and today we're exploring 3 groundbreaking approaches that might just change everything we thought we knew about getting older.
That's fascinating because for the longest time, we thought aging was just something that happens to us. But now we're discovering it's actually a complex process we might be able to influence.
Exactly right. And what's really interesting is how researchers have identified specific markers of aging. Things like cellular senescence, which is basically when our cells stop dividing and start causing problems.
Could you break down what you mean by cellular senescence? I think our listeners might find that concept pretty mind blowing.
So imagine your body's cells are like tiny workers in a factory. When they're young and healthy, they're productive and keep dividing to make new cells. But as we age, some of these workers start to get tired and cranky. That's senescence. These senescent cells not only stop working properly, they actually start causing inflammation and damage to the healthy cells around them.
That's such a clear way to explain it. And I understand there's another fascinating aspect called telomere shortening.
Right. Telomeres are like the protective caps on our DNA, similar to those plastic tips on shoelaces. Every time a cell divides, these caps get a little shorter. Eventually, they become so short that the cell can't divide anymore, which is one of the key reasons we age.
And this is where some of these cutting edge interventions come in, right? The research points to 3 main approaches: stem cells, advanced biomolecules, and herbal medicine.
Exactly. Let's start with stem cells, which are really the rock stars of regenerative medicine right now. These are like the body's master cells. They have this incredible ability to develop into many different types of cells we need.
The research on mesenchymal stem cells seems particularly promising. These are found in bone marrow and fat tissue, correct?
That's right. And what's really exciting about MSCs is their potential for treating age-related diseases. They're being studied for everything from heart disease to Alzheimer's. But here's the thing. It's not just about injecting stem cells and hoping for the best. The research shows we need a more comprehensive approach.
Hmm. That brings us to those advanced biomolecules you mentioned. I've been reading about sirtuins and their role in cellular repair.
Oh yes, sirtuins are fascinating. They're like cellular maintenance workers that help repair damage and regulate various processes related to aging. And get this. Research has shown that activating certain sirtuins might actually extend lifespan in various organisms.
That's incredible. And there's also telomerase, which you mentioned earlier regarding those protective caps on our DNA.
Right. Telomerase is like a molecular fountain of youth. It can actually rebuild those protective telomere caps that get shorter as we age. But here's where it gets tricky. While activating telomerase might help prevent aging, it could also potentially increase cancer risk. So researchers have to be really careful with this approach.
You know what's interesting? While we're talking about all these high tech solutions, there's also this whole world of traditional herbal medicine that's being validated by modern science.
That's one of my favorite parts of this research. Take turmeric, for example. People have been using it for thousands of years, and now we're discovering it has powerful anti-inflammatory properties that might help combat age-related diseases.
And what about resveratrol? That's the compound found in red wine that everyone got excited about.
Oh yes, the red wine compound. While it's not exactly a miracle cure, studies have shown that resveratrol can activate some of those sirtuin proteins we talked about earlier. But here's the catch. You'd need to drink an impossible amount of wine to get therapeutic levels of resveratrol.
So, what you're saying is we can't just drink our way to immortality. Well, there go my weekend plans.
Ha! Unfortunately, not. But what's really exciting is how researchers are looking at combining these different approaches. They're finding that using stem cells along with certain biomolecules and herbal compounds might be more effective than any single intervention alone.
Though I imagine there must be some challenges and risks involved with this kind of combination approach.
Absolutely right. One of the biggest challenges is understanding how all these different interventions interact with each other. Plus, there's the whole question of long-term effects. We're essentially tinkering with fundamental biological processes here.
And I suppose that raises some pretty serious ethical questions too.
It really does. We're not just talking about the ethics of stem cell research anymore. We're looking at potentially extending human lifespan significantly. That brings up huge questions about access, equity, and the societal implications of people living much longer.
Speaking of societal implications, how might these developments affect healthcare systems and retirement planning?
That's such a crucial question. If people start living significantly longer, we might need to completely rethink our approach to retirement, healthcare, and Social Security. Imagine the economic impact if people regularly lived to be 100 or even 120 years old.
You know what's really striking about all this? The emphasis on health span versus lifespan. It's not just about living longer, but about staying healthy and functional longer.
That's exactly right. And this is where the holistic approach becomes so important. The research shows that even the most advanced anti-aging interventions work better when combined with lifestyle factors like proper nutrition, regular exercise, and stress management.
So, what would you say are the most actionable takeaways for our listeners?
Well, first, while these scientific developments are exciting, we shouldn't wait for a miracle cure. The basics still matter. Eat well, exercise, manage stress. Second, stay informed about these developments, but be skeptical of any products claiming to be an anti-aging miracle cure. And third, remember that herbal supplements, while potentially beneficial, are not replacements for medical treatment.
That's such important context. And I imagine we'll be seeing a lot more developments in this field in the coming years.
Without a doubt, we're really just at the beginning of understanding how we might be able to influence the aging process. It's an exciting time to be following this research, but we need to remain both optimistic and realistic about what's possible.
Well, this has been absolutely fascinating. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
You know, what strikes me most is how this field represents the convergence of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. We're taking what traditional medicine has known for thousands of years and validating it with modern research, while also developing completely new approaches through stem cells and biomolecules. The future of aging might look very different from what we imagine today.
That's such a perfect way to end this discussion. Thank you all for joining us on this journey through the science of aging.
Indeed. Until next time, stay curious, stay healthy, and maybe don't rely too heavily on that red wine